All right, welcome in. We are rocking and rolling today. And today we have some very special builds going on. A couple of reasons. One, this is going to be one of the last times I do a 3-inch version of this marble. And because it is just getting to be to that point where they're just too big. So we're going to be making some 3-inch marbles. And this is literally going to be the last time I do the 3-inch version of this. We'll do 2-inch soon. What's up, Groves? Hey, Michael. Hello, Melissa. Sorry, we're running a little bit behind. But I'm here. I don't know. Man, that sounds weird. I don't know if you can hear this. It sounds like a jet. Or a vacuum. That's a weird sound. On lunch? What's up, Grove? Good. So, Groves, I need to schedule a time with you and Dragonfly so I can kind of cover some new items and some techniques for you both. So if you two can coordinate with me and let's set a time, because it's time for a little bit of a lesson. It's good to see you, Melissa. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, we're on the Glow Show. Yeah, I think it's time to kind of give you guys a little challenge because you're both at this point where you're comfortable, but you need to be pushed. Is it a little more torch noise than yesterday? Really? Oh, wow. Yeah. But anyway, let's get started. So today we're working the 3-inch marble. Oh, you know what? I have this version. Hold on. I need to really move my bench a tiny bit closer to myself. My back bench. So I have a toolbox behind me. I need to move it a little bit closer because I'm getting this experience where I try and reach back and it's too far. Having things, so I'm going to talk studio in things today as we're going through. Just because I get a lot of questions about what it's like to do this as a career, how do you get started? And I don't think a lot of people understand the concept of what goes into it and what to expect. You know, there are things I wish I was told, even as having a parent that did this, that you just don't know. So we're going to cover some things today. I'm going to cover some of the experiences I've had, things I would change if I had to do it over, and just kind of answer some questions about glassblowing in general and what to expect. I mean, there are a lot of things that people don't understand about this as a career. Who is that? Again, you say? What's up? How you doing? So yeah, that's going to be part of the talk today. But today we're doing the opal marbles. We're doing a 3-inch, and this is called the pink petal. And it is one of my favorite items to make, but it's too big for me today. I mean, the continuous 3-inch marbles are wearing me out. So this will be the last 2 of this version I'm doing. And from here on out, it's 2.5 inch, and that's it. I'm not doing big ones anymore. Done. We're working on an opal marble today. Kind of letting my torch warm up a little bit. So there are little valves in here, and when I first start in the morning, they're a little cold, the valves, and they adjust over time. So I'm kind of letting them warm up a tiny bit before I get started, because when I change from flame to flame, it needs to stay semi-consistent. See, it just changed again. And the valves need to warm up just a tiny bit. All right, so we're going to cover this today. We're doing the opal. This is going to look very transparent, but once we get into the, you can see the little opals flying through there. I'll try and bring it a little closer. So those are all tiny little opals bouncing through the marble. Crushed opals. It's a very pretty piece by itself. You can see the green right there. Now the version I'm doing today is called Pink Petals. And that will have the crushed opals just like this in there. But we're also going to be gold fuming on the outside in dots and turning it to almost a flower pattern. So that's the cool part about it, is you get to see the gold fuming, the opals, and all that fun stuff. The hard part is it's freaking heavy. All right, first things first, let's get a couple things nailed out here, and we'll get started. So I'm going to combine these two, pop it in the kiln, let it warm up. What are my thoughts on Mountain Glass clothes? I'm sad by it. I mean, they weren't my number one vendor, and that was kind of by choice. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. They're awesome group. I bought my kabuki from them, actually. And it's sad. I hate to see people going out, but right now the industry does not support enough vendors. Yeah, and that's part of what I want to talk about today is the state of, where we're at in this field. And my personal experience, why I've shifted certain things, and how I've adapted to changes in the industry, and why I've been able to survive 32 years doing this full time. And, just going to kind of jabber about it. But yeah, the state of the glass is definitely shaky right now. And there are opportunities that are abound, but people are too stubborn to shift into those opportunities. And that, those people are going to have a hard time. I'm not saying they're not going to survive, but definitely going to be a rough ride. Okay, so I got this all set up. We're going to pop this in the kiln. If I don't put it in the kiln, it's going to crack one of those two places. But right now, I just want to make sure it's not going to bend. I've still got my side camera on. Interesting. Main artist working regular part-time job now? Yeah, definitely. What's up from Maine? Just call me Hope. How are you? What's up, Steven? Drunken. Warlord, what's up? Can't buy my own birthstone? What are you talking about, Melissa? Oh, yeah, can't buy it. All right, so let me split this rod real quick while we're jabbering. And then we're going to get into making the 3-inch marble. I got to get the opals all lined up in my little dish here. So it's a little bit of prep work ahead of time. I'm doing good. I'm happy. Every day I wake up, I'm happy. No, the legalizing of the 420 actually has demolished the glass market in that part of it. Once legalization hit, the golden era of making products for that industry died. Okay, it went on a complete and utter catastrophe. It was a downfall that was incredible. The legalization killed it. Opal's your birth. Oh yeah, you can't buy your birthstone. That's correct. Opal. Although I don't go by that. I buy opal all the time. I like opal. But yeah, the actual legalization of that killed the industry. So, because that allowed foreign entities to come in and flood the market with items that were subpar, incredibly dangerous, and cheap. And it just killed the. It's opposite of what you thought. Yeah, I saw it coming. Yeah. So one of the main things that happened that I saw personally was, and I remember this happening. I was talking to my one of my friends owns North Star Glass, and we were talking, and he said he had just got back from China, and they had a warehouse full of 1 million pieces, I think he said, sitting in crates, waiting for legalization so they could ship it. And once legalization hit, they shipped. And the market got flooded. But one of the most dangerous things I saw was the non-regulation of the items. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So one of the pieces I got from someone to take a look at, not to make or do anything like that, was to inspect it. And one of the things I do is I go through and I run it through the kiln to see how it reacts. And literally there was paint dripping out of the piece on the inside. And it was like a paint dripping out of it. So that's how they were coloring it, not using colored glass. It was a paint. And that made me really cautious. And I told them, I said, I would never, ever buy this for your customers, because that is a little scary. You don't know what that paint is. And it turned out to be lead-based paint inside smoking pieces. So, yeah, that was a major, major issue. There was a lot of pushes for that, and there were, I don't know. I people say a lot of things about it, but I also blame the retailers. They chose to take the easy road and try and make a quick dollar, and they ended up killing their own stores. So you could say kind of karma was coming. All right, let's get started. I'm going to start. I got to get the opals. So we got to pop in some opals in this dish. So we're going to add in some crushed opal. I don't have much left in there. I think there's a tiny bit left in here. We're just going to kind of do a mix in here. There we go. It looks like I'm going to have to reorder some opal. But no, a lot of people thought legalization was going to increase the market, and it did not. So, adapting to a shifting industry, what do you do? My choice was to look at an industry, a part of this industry that is not able to be farmed out. And that was the memorial glass. So that's why I shifted a lot to memorial glass out of that industry. We're going to grab this. Because two things happen. One, it's illegal to ship ashes and cremains outside the country, pretty much. You have to go through some very serious postal regulations to do that. So memorial glass locked buyers into this country. And I didn't have to worry about imports coming in and destroying the market. Number one. Number two, it was an industry that has a never-ending customer, unfortunately. I'm sad to say, but with Memorial Glass, you have customers every day. It's fact. So that was my primary focus into kind of shifting into that. Now, currently, the state of Memorial Glass today is you got a lot of people out there that are doing it and doing a crappy job with it and charging $5 or $10, not taking into account there are issues with, working with the cremains is not the easiest thing on the planet. And they're already degrading and devaluing the entire industry by doing that. So that industry is starting to shift as well currently. So we're moving away from that as well. What that looks like, I don't know. Where the future goes, I don't know yet. I'm kind of going with trends of what I think is moving forward outside of glass. So from my experience, I always look at, okay, what is trendy outside in the world, real world? What's going on? What's very trendy that I can make out of glass that isn't currently being made? Because by the time you get on a trend, it's too late. You're already behind. So that's kind of where I'm shifting right now. I'm looking at where do I go? What items do I make? So that's kind of where I'm heading. It is sad but true that the memorial industry is a never-ending customer base. But there are a lot of people out there that, like I said, I would never do a pendant for $5 with memorial, ever. It's not that I, think I'm the greatest person in the world, but there's a lot of things that can go wrong with it. And personally, if someone was charging $5 for a pendant for adding ashes in there, I'd be leery of how good a quality that is. Yeah. It's just my opinion. All right, here we go. And there's a lot of people that are disrespectful with the cremains and all that stuff too. But from my perspective, I think the industry is, again, shifting. We're moving into things, and I see a lot of clear glass coming back into play. All right, so we're going to take this, and we're going to start adding little opals in here. I definitely see clear glass coming back into the forefront because color's about to go through the roof expensive. It is definitely going to be a big change very, very quickly here. As rare earth materials, silver has shot up and gold has shot up in price, which is used a lot in my glass. I look like I got hella aura. I don't know about that right now. I just got hella flame around me. Can you see the glass dagger? Yeah, give me 1 second. Let me put this down. I can't just you caught me just at the right time because once I really get rolling on this, I can't stop. Let me grab it. So this is the dagger. We're going to do another one this year, though. I don't know. I'm going to schedule it. I'm going to definitely do a live stream schedule for it. We're going to create this guy. Like I said, we're going to change it. We're going to put wings off here. We're going to put a dragon spine on it. And definitely going to incorporate uranium this time. But yeah, that is the Dragon Dagger. And the next one is going to be incredible. The next one's definitely going to be, I don't want to say an upgrade, but I think it'll be an upgrade. It's going to kind of be an upgrade. It's like oil paintings market. Exactly. Yeah. Every market shifts. And that's why I kind of put this live stream into generic. I think every industry right now is in a changing state. And I have a friend that is a graphic artist. And they are currently in a world of hurt from AI. And all right, we're going to take this and we're going to start dipping it into the opals here and creating that. So we're going to dip this into the opals. There are tiny little opals on the end of this rod. They are simulated opals, meaning they are laboratory grown. And they're the only ones that can actually withstand the heat of what we're doing here. A natural opal is like 90% water, 80-90%. So it would literally vaporize. So we're adding these opals in here. They're commonly referred to as Gilson. But there are other brands now, right now. Gilson is a style brand. And we're going to be mixing the opals in here. This is the last, I'm making two of these today. These are the last 2 3-inch versions of this I'm doing. I am pretty much discontinuing my 3-inch marbles. They're a heck of a lot harder on me physically. All right, pick up more opal. And I don't see it being that big of a benefit versus 2.5 inches. So we're going to definitely be shifting that around this year. Don't need to go bigger, just better. So yeah, these are the 2 last of the 3-inch I'm doing. The 2.5 inch is just as beautiful, if not better, to be honest. Got a brother named Phil? No, I have no brothers. No brothers, no sisters. I was born as a test tube baby. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. What's up, Red Squeak? How you doing? All right, here we go. We're going to add more opals in here. Let's have a little fun today. What's up, Ray? How you doing? Badass Mountain Mama. How you doing? I love that name. Badass Mountain Mama. What's going on? All right, here we go. We've got to add a little bit more opal in here. Then we're going to mix it all up. Where do I get the crushed opals? I got them from a guy named Arcadian Glassworks. I don't know if he's still in business, but these opals are pretty old. It's not like they go bad, but I bought like $1,000 worth of crushed opal off him back in the day. And I've just never really used that much of it, but now I'm starting to kind of dig it. And this particular piece has them. And I designed this piece because I wanted to start using the opals up. I had all this opal sitting there, nothing to do with it. But it was Arcadian. I think Dopal opals is one of the best now. But a lot of vendors have them. What's up, Jen? Doing good, Red Squeak. All right, last little bit of opal, and then we're going to do a full-on mix here. So again, what I love about this piece is it's called the Pink Petals. After we get all the opals in there, we're going to be gold fuming on here. We're going to add in some dots. and it's going to kind of give it a flower petal, like pink petals. And that's going to be a beautiful pattern always. And I'm even debating on how much gold fuming I'm going to be doing in the future, because gold is through the roof right now. That little coin I had that I use right now cost me like $230 at the time that I bought it. I just looked it up. It's like $490 now. I'm like, whoa. I think I need to rethink this gold fuming stuff. All right, so we have a lot of opal running through here, right in that top section. I'm going to let it cool off a little because I need to let it cool just a tiny bit before we get started any further. Hopefully you can see those little chunks in there. We'll use a little flashlight. Bring it down. There we are. I don't know if you guys can see those opals bouncing through there. Yeah, you kind of can. See, my glasses are covering a lot of what I see. There we are. Now you can see kind of the opals bouncing through. So there are blues and greens and just beautiful colors running through there. What's up, Daisy girl? How are you doing? Imagine you're glass blowing and need to sneeze. I've been there. You know what's worse than having to sneeze? Take a guess what's worse than having to sneeze while glass blowing. It's way worse. This is real life experience. Today we are talking about real life stuff. That's right. Gross has it, the itch. So if you get an itch on your nose and your hands are full and you just spent an hour prepping this piece and you can't poop pain. No, Jingles, not that much. That's a little TMI, Jingles. How you doing? Getting an itch and you just spent an hour prepping the piece and you can't stop and you got this itch there. Yeah. Super bad. What do the glasses do? The glasses are filtering out certain light spectrums. Let me get a little bit of clear on here and I'll show you exactly what they do. If you got like 2 minutes to wait, give me 2 minutes. And I'll show you what the filter actually looks like. What's up, Penthouse? There's the man, the myth, the legend, Penthouse Pew. How you doing, my friend? Having to go to the restroom? Yeah, that definitely does too. I remember one of my first live streams I ever did. That's probably too much information, but this is real life experience. This stream is about real life experience, okay? As a artist, live streamer, etc. So the first time, like one of the first live streams I was doing, and I had the microphone on, I had a wireless microphone on. And yeah, I had to run into the restroom and I forgot the microphone was on. Yeah, that was a real life experience. Totally forgot the microphone was on. And it has a long range. So I went from studio all the way into the house. I'm like, running in there. Just number one, not number two. That would have been really bad. But it was like, talk about being totally noobish. That was a real life experience. Yeah, no moaning and groaning. Just, that's the way it was. I'm authentic on here. I will tell you straight up. I'm not going to fluff anything up. Okay? I'm just going to give you the facts. Is anything caught on fire during? Yeah, me. I'll try and find it. I'll repost that video. So there's a video where I'm sitting here. I'm literally melting a bunch of stuff. And I'm sitting here and something's on fire. I can't figure it out. Something's burning. And I could smell it. And I'm looking all over. And then I realized it was me. I had a paper towel stuffed in my apron, and it got so hot the paper towel started catching fire from the radiating heat. But I kept sitting there. I'm like, what the hell's burning? What is burning? And then I looked down. I was like, oh, it's me. All right, filter. So this is the didymium glasses. Okay, this is what my glasses are made out of. Now, I have an extra shade number 3 on these. That is a welding shade number 3 on there too. And this is what my life looks like while I'm working. So you can see that. Look how good that looks. So that's how I see the world. Okay. Otherwise, I would not be able to figure out what the heck I'm doing. We would have that. So that is the filtering of my glasses. Like that. Now the drawback is, everybody always says, why can't you just put the lens on there all the time? Now I want you to pay attention to this. See how it just changed all the colors? That's why. Same with these, watch. They just disappear. So that's why I don't use the lens all the time. You would miss out on half of it. Now, back in the day, fun history fact, back in the day, before they had didymium, they would use cobalt glass as a lens. You ever seen really old historical sunglasses that were made out of cobalt? Kind of why. Not for glassblowing, but that was the lens of choice. Cobalt will filter out certain light. Got the mystery grab bag? Oh, awesome. Yeah, mystery grab bags are awesome. They have a lot of fun stuff in it. Thank you for letting me know. All right, we got to add a lot more clear on here and start mixing this up. We're going to add the outer flame here. Now this bigger flame isn't necessarily hotter. It's just bigger. So these torches are what are called surface mix. They are mixing externally. The gases are mixing externally, meaning as they exit the ports, they are converging and creating the fire, the mixture. The other method is called a pre-mix torch, where they're mixing in chamber and then the gases are coming out. There. That one, the hot spot is down here. This one, the hot spot's up here because it takes a while for it to get fully blended. Just a little fact. Do I ever paint the glass pieces? I don't. Back in the day, before colored glass was very prevalent, you used to. There was a glass stain company. I think it was Jurgen. This is going to sound bad. Jurgens or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, you would have to paint the glass, because literally there were only like 9 colors available of colored glass in Borosilicate, and all the colors except for 1 or 2 kind of sucked. So even though we had them, they were not very good. And that's where I tell people all the time when they rip on I'll just be blunt about it. We're going to go raw truth here. The pipe industry. So a lot of people say, oh, the smoking industry is this and that. I got to tell you, without the smoking industry, there wouldn't be 1/10 of the colors that we have right now. That funded all the colored glass research in borosilicate you see today. It funded it. The exponential growth of people getting into the business to make glass funded those experiments and the research into creating brand new colors. All right, here we go. We got to add a little bit in here. All right, we're getting there. All right, we still got a lot to go. Again, this is going to be the 3-inch size, so we got a lot to go. I probably should have popped the shield on. Sabrina, we are making a giant 3-inch marble. This is the last of the 3 inches I'm doing on this particular pattern. I'm not saying I'll never do a 3-inch again, but this particular pattern, this will be the last of it. I would literally, for me to want to do this again after this particular order, I would literally have to double the price. And I don't think anybody's going to go that high paying for these. So it's almost better to just discontinue it. But the amount of wear and tear that happens on my body from this is just, it's becoming not worth it. Because you're all going to be hanging with me right now. And I have not really put this rod down at all. And I can tell you, this is getting super heavy already. Now, if I get a glass blowing lathe, then that is going to change the game. So that's why I'm pushing to get a glass lathe, so that I can maybe go back into bigger marbles and just incorporate designs on there. All right, so we're just pushing and pushing and pushing here. And this is going to be a lot of glass still. I'm still not there yet. It's a lot of radiant heat. Yeah, 2.5 inches for me on a marble is really good. I've looked at the Nicola. I'm not sure about it. I just have my reservations about it. And I'll tell you where my reservations are on the Nicola penthouse. What happens if something happens to Mike that makes it? Who's going to service it? What's up from Oregon? What's happening? Welcome in. So yeah, one of the things that makes me scary on that aspect is it's so specialized. Does he have a legacy program in place that if something happens to him, that the serviceability gets continued? I don't want to spend, $3,000 or $4,000 on an item that becomes useless down the road because a part broke and the guy that invented it is no longer around. It's very cool engineering. And that's why I wish he would sell it to like a manufacturer that'll be around. Yeah, I was wondering what happened to Cosmic. Anybody know what's happening with Cosmic? Thank you, Red Squeak. Yeah, no bongs, no dongs. I don't have a problem with the industry. It's just not my thing. All right, so we're pushing this. Like I said, this takes a lot of glass. I'm pushing a tremendous amount of it right now. I think we're pretty close to that 3-inch mark, though, where we're going to be comfortable. Yeah, I think we're good. I just have to finish this off. So the next step is we're going to be gold fuming this and creating the pink petals. And here we go. Yeah, I was wondering what happened to Jeremiah. Well, Penthouse, you're on my list of people to go visit if I ever make it to Alaska. I know it's a big ass state, but I definitely would love to at least take you to lunch and say, "What's up, my friend?" All right, so we are making a 3-inch marble. This is called the pink petal. And right now we got a bunch of crushed opals in here. I'm going to let it settle down just a little bit before we start doing the fuming. There we are. So we're just letting it calm down real quick. There we go. There we go. You're going back to the Bay Area, are you? We're at in the Bay. Okay, here we go. So this has a lot of crushed opals in it. I'm going to bring the flashlight over so y'all can see it a little bit. Santa Cruz? Man, I love Santa Cruz. I actually have family there. But I always talk about that taffy pull I do. That's where there's I don't know. If you go there, let me know if the taffy guy is still there in Santa Cruz. All right, so now you can see that ring of crushed opals in there. So these are little tiny crushed opals. They are little microscopic lab-created opals. I'm going to try and bring it here. Maybe we might get some visual this way. Oop, better not get it too close or I'm going to melt my flashlight. I know it does look kind of spacey. I think for tonight's stream, we're going to do crushed opal and space theme. I want to do it with the Electrum. So this was from last night. I don't know if y'all can see the little Aurora Borealis happening on there. That Aurora Borealis uranium effect. And then this is in its visual flashlight there. This one turned out stunning. I love this. This one's cool too. This is the opal and gold fume. All right, so we got enough on here. Let's do the gold. So on the end of this little glass rod is gold. It's a gold nugget. And it is pure gold. Right there, that little tiny pimple-looking thing of gold. We're going to vaporize it. So what happens is the gold gets superheated and it travels through the flame as a conduit and lands on the main piece up here. I don't know about an opal flower. If I did an opal flower, it'd have to be a tulip or a rosebud. It definitely would not work on like petals. It's too scary on that. All right, so we're vaporizing the gold on here right now. This process is called fuming. I remember I said I was fuming to someone on live, and they're like, "What are you mad at?" I was like, "Not that type of fuming. Not that kind of fuming." But that was funny. All right, we got gold on here. But I could see where that would get confusing. So yeah, kind of like an airbrush. That's a great example, but at 3,000 degrees. All right, so now we got the gold on there. See, it just basically gold plated that. Now, 90% about, well, not 90%, about 80% of this is going to get burned off. But you can see the gold reflections through there. But I don't know if you can see that purple hue, that pinky purple. That's the goal we're looking for. We want purple pink. All right, so I'm going to grab a fresh color here. Now I use one specific brand of glass for the encasing of metals. And that is a company called Cymax. It works really, really well. It's very expensive compared to like other brands of clear, but for this purpose, it's way worth it. So we're just dotting around right now. And essentially what you want to think of is like taking aluminum foil and sandwiching in between two sheets of glass. It's a very similar concept. Visually, you can see that, and that's why I explain it this way. And all the way around. All right, so we got a set of dots all the way. And we're going to do that all the way up. Yeah, Cymax is absolutely fantastic. I love it. All right, so we're going to do that all the way up. We're going to trail all the way up there. And these have to be very specific. I don't want to cross them because I want it to look like petals of a flower. So just have to take our time doing this. And here we go. We're just going all the way around. There goes that nose itch. And then we're coming up another level. Now, as I start going up a little higher, each one of these little dots slowly gets a little smaller as we are incorporating around. We're just coming all the way around, building it all the way up. Like I said, this should create a flower petal design in here. What's up, Author Christine? How are you? Yeah, it's been a minute. All right, a little bit higher. Now, yet again. Yeah, TikTok had a little bit of a issue with me. They put me on a 7-day ban for a while because some idiot tool reported me as being dangerous. I was like, dangerous? I'm no John Wick. Probably one of the people that, I was talking about. I didn't name any names, but I've said, people always ask, how long does it take to get good at this? And I always say, I've seen people that have done it for 6 months get really, really good, and I've seen people that have been doing it for 20 years that suck. And that's directed at one person. And I'm sure they didn't like that, but it's true. For 20 years, they're just terrible. And it's not for anything other than lack of trying. I think they have the potential because they have done a few things that are really nice. But overall, they suck because they keep pushing in the wrong way. Yeah, a lot of jealous people out there, true. That's what I'm saying. But like Penthouse, I have no problem with. He's a cool dude. And I always say, he's got awesome work. And I refer to him all the time. And we got Groves and Dragonfly, who are new to glassblowing, who are doing phenomenal for the time they've spent doing it. And then there are people that have been doing it for a long time that are just bad. And the reason that I really think this particular person is bad, I think they have potential. But I think they're bad because they want the quick dollar. They're not trying to progress. They just want the fast dollar. Okay, so now we got all this melted on there. Look at that. So everywhere you see a little dot there, you can see that little color underneath there. That is going to be where the petals are. Trace, Tanya, I highly recommend if you get a chance to do this. So one of the things I want to organize is, maybe I got to talk to Penthouse and a few other people too. I want to organize a what I call a glass experience nationwide, a group of individuals nationwide that, say someone in your case says, hey, I live in Rhode Island or Santa Cruz, and they say, I would like to try glass blowing. Not like learn it, but just try it. And you could go into someone's studio and it costs you about $250 for the experience, but you get to do this like full on. And you'd have the guidance of someone sitting there and walking you through it, but you would actually get to make an item in 2.5 hours that you made. It wouldn't be exactly like what they do, but it would be cool. It would definitely be cool. All right, so now we're melting it all in. I'm just blending it in, and then we're going to spin it up. Yeah, I need to put it together. So organization is not my specialty. Okay, I'm about as organized as, a jigsaw puzzle. I know my weaknesses, and organization is not one of them. But with the use of AI now, I'm getting better. Let them get the true experience. No, I don't want to give someone that experience. So there's an experience and then there's learning. I've done lots of experiences. I did that for a very long time on Airbnb experiences. I still have an account with Airbnb experiences, but so people come in, they spend 2.5 hours on a torch, and they get to make a mushroom or a little glass or a trinket, a pendant, various items. You have to predetermine what they make, but they get to pick the colors and style. And for a glass blower, from my perspective, it works really well for 2 reasons. One, I get to help someone have a great experience in glass blowing. Perfect. Okay? But 2, and here's one of the benefits as a glass blower, and glass blowers don't understand this until I tell them. Nobody's going to return the item that they made. Okay? If someone made a mushroom and it's not perfect, but they made it, I promise you they're not going to return it, saying it looks ugly. They're going to keep it. So the return factor is 0, which in this business is a big deal. All right, so we're almost all blended in here. So what's going to happen on this point is we're going to take it and we're going to spin it around a little bit and create these little petals. It's going to look kind of flowery. I know mushrooms aren't perfect, but I'm just saying in general, if someone spends their money and they spend, an hour and a half, because you got to go through some, tutorials in the beginning of things to do and not do on the flame and how to handle the glass. But if they spend an hour and a half and they make a mushroom, I promise you they're not returning it. But it's really cool because they actually made it. I've seen hot shop studios do that, and some of them have done a really good job and some have been really bad where they just puff in the glass and that's it. I'm like, oh man, that's not an experience. That's not it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You could do some stuff and it's really kind of cool. But number 2, for someone that wants to try this as a career or job, going in and having a 2.5 hour experience will tell you whether you like being around the flame or not, and what it entails. Okay, so here we go. We're going to spin this up. We're kind of at this point where I got to make this happen. So we're going to grab it here, and this rod's going to stay pretty much stationary. I'm going to rotate it a little bit, but not as much as the top one. And what's happening now is I'm creating a clutch on here. So I'm gripping it, letting it go, gripping it, let it go, and spinning the top one. So they're rotating at different speeds, and that is taking those dots and spiraling it around. And it's creating these little flower-like petals in here. And there we go. Not much. You don't have to do a lot. And then I'm going to burn it off up here and create a nice little taper at the end so that when you get done with it, it looks really good. Triple blown means thicker, correct. But what do you do to get that term? So triple blown was triple blown was created by a company that just wanted to try and manipulate store owners into a thought that something was triple blown. Okay, it is a false term. What's up, Dragonfly? So what they mean by, yeah, we're doing a big marble today. This is the last of these that I'm doing. I'm making 2 3-inch versions of this, and then I'm never making the 3-inch version again. But anyway, triple blown means it's double wall thickness. So there's a wall thickness. I'm going to let it settle for a second. There's standard wall, which is like 1.5 millimeters. You got medium wall, which is 2.5. And then you got heavy wall, which can be anywhere from 4 to 5. And heavy wall is what's commonly referred to as triple blown. You're a glass bender? Man, I wish I knew how to glass bend, Dale. I'm assuming neon version. So yeah, triple blown just means heavy wall. But someone created the term to try and just market themselves as a more valuable asset, and it just got out of hand. I promise you, nobody's sitting there going, 1, 2, 3. Not happening. I mean, they may puff into it 3 times to make it, but that's not the version of triple blown. And it was just a scamming thing. I considered the person that did it. I know who started it. It was in the Bay Area. And I consider them like super scammers. All right, here we go. We're going to make this a little bit bigger. And here we go. And now we're going to start bringing this down. It was definitely a way to screw people out of money. Well, they tried it as a marketing technique, if you will. I would like to make dice. I don't make dice currently because trying to get the sides even would be really, really hard. I think the only way I'd be able to make dice would be to make a basic block of glass, and then I would have to use a lapidary machine to get it squared. I think that's the only way to make it work well. All right, so right now this is gonna, like I said, this is gonna be a 3.5 inch or 3-inch marble, not 3.5. I'm not going that far. It has crushed opals in it, and then we did a process called gold fuming, which creates these like petal-like images on here, pattern. And right now I'm just kind of letting it grind itself down. You can kind of see these patterns right there. As it starts to cool, you're going to see these patterns. It's a beautiful pattern. But got to take it slow. Yeah, I could do different sided dice. I could definitely make different ones, but I would definitely have to use a lapidary machine to get it right. I tried doing it by hand, and the problem is as you squish a couple sides, when you get to the last 2 sides that you squish, it creates this ridge on it. And I can't get rid of that ridge very well. It does it's kind of like honeycomb. Yeah. All right, we're going to use the shield again. This is going to be very visual. So if you've been with me for a minute, this is very, very visual. And here we go. We're going to bring it in, and you're going to see what my glasses do. Here we go. And boom. So this is a material called didymium. And it filters out a lot of that bright, bright, bright spectrum. So that versus that. So that's how I can see what the heck is going on. It's a cool visual. Now the problem is you don't want to do that because watch this up here. It just disappears, see? That's all you'd see. It would filter out too much. Now the camera I do have on the corner, that way. That one, right there. That camera actually does have a little filter on it. It's a light version of the filter, but it does have a filter. You can see that right now. I'm testing it out. So that didymium right there is a very, very small version of it. All right, we're going to start getting into the mold here, and then we're going to do the other side. So, as the title suggested in my title on YouTube, this is a hard facts, authentic version of a live stream about my experiences doing this as a career. But artistic stuff in general. If you have questions about what it is to do this as a career, or what things that you don't get told, feel free to put it in there. Don't hesitate to ask a question. Because not just glassblowing, but I think it implies artistically all over the world for every profession. There is the pink petals. Did I tell you that was going to be beautiful or what? Let me show you one more time. How long ago did I get the lenses? I have I have lenses from 1974. So I have quite a few collections. I have a big collection of different lenses. How long did it take to learn? So I grew up with it. My mother started when I was 2 years old. So I am not a good representation of how long it took. Now, I have had people that I've seen get really good in 6 months. And I mean really good. And then there are people I've seen that have been doing it 20 years that are just terrible. What percentage of people asking for a pipe? Everybody asks for a pipe, okay? And here's the thing. Everybody asks for a pipe. And they go, oh, can you make a pipe? Sure. How much do you want to pay? Well, I don't want one. I just want to see it made. That's one of the first questions. Number two is, do you make a pipe? Yep. How much are they? $60. Oh, nope. Those are two facts that just happen all the time. Number two, there's a lot more to this than just pipes. We have all kinds of things that are available to do. Like this is a paperweight. Okay, this is going to be a desktop paperweight. And it's just an artistic, fun little thing to have. I do make frogs. I definitely do. But yeah, so there are lots of different versions of glass out there, and as electronic stuff starts continuing to come in, you're going to see the glass industry really shifting very badly out of it. I mean, there are going to be a lot of people hurting very soon. Okay, so we got this all mellowed out right there. What's the worst customer I had? I don't really have a worst customer. Occasionally you get the people that come in and say, my item arrived broken. Okay, send me a photograph so that I can file a claim with the post office. No photograph comes through. Or the worst is when they say, what, you don't believe me? It's like, no, I need a photograph So I can file a claim with the post office or UPS or whoever. They're not just going to take my word for it. And no photographs come through. So that happens. I really don't have worse customers. I mean, I've had a few bad ones, but nothing. Most of the time, people buying glass are pretty good. What's the thing I sell the most? I sell a ton of hummingbirds. So hummingbirds are just kind of those fun little things that you can buy as a gift that a lot of people may not have. It's one of those gifts that you can give someone, and I guarantee you they probably don't have a glass hummingbird. Especially one of mine. So hummingbirds are super dominant for me. Marbles are very popular, and we do a lot of memorial glass. So take ash from people or pets and infuse it into the glass. So these pieces I'm making right now are technically memorial, but the customer doesn't have any ash. They just want them for memorial version. So these are going to be actually sitting on top of a urn. They don't want to send any ash. They don't want to open the urn. They don't want to change it. But there's a space on top of the urn for these marbles. So that's why I'm making these in particular. They will match the urn. And there's 2 urns that are split with the ashes. So these are actually going onto an urn, but just no ash in it. But they are memorial. Sabrina, you can go to starrynightglass.com. You can also go to thefieryguy.com. The Fiery Guy is brand new, so there's not much on it right now. But Starry Night Glass has quite a bit on it right now. Or quite a bit. Okay, that is not what I wanted. You are my huckleberry. So there is the gold fume back on there. Again, we kind of vaporized pure gold on there. We're going to trap it for the petals, and then we're going to spin it up. Actually, I think this side I need to go a little heavier. Yeah, we need to go a little bit heavier. It's not quite showing up as well. So I'm going to add a little more gold to this. I just noticed that. I'm going to change the flame chemistry just a little. We're going to get a little bit more vaporized on here. There we go. So the flame chemistry actually plays a big part in what the color looks like when you vaporize the gold on here. There we go. Much better. So now we got a lot of gold on there. I have propane, yes. See how shiny that is? So that is pure gold on there. What's up, Diane? Okay. I got to pop this in the kiln. I have a oxygen leak down there. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but I have to shut down and fix this. One of my foot pedal has a little bit of a loose fitting, and I got to fix it. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Yep. I need to fix that. It's going to take me 10 minutes or less, but we're going to fix it real quick, and I'll be right back. So I'm going to fix it, and I'm going to come right back to the live stream to finish that up. But I have to get that addressed right now. I cannot chance it. So I'll be back in just a little bit.